Hi everybody, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch in Far West Texas, or it's Robert Earl, your desert chef, or hey, it's Robert Earl, some guy on Facebook. These are all going on all three, so that's why I'm telling you, doing this kind of an entry. At any rate, what we're going to do today, thanks to my good friend Kumar in Malaysia, and I believe you're living in you're living in Penang or in Georgetown right now, on the island of Penang in Georgetown, I believe. Kumar got me started with a great recipe, a family recipe of his from using moringa leaves. And I said, well, that's fine. I want to try it right now, but I'm not going to try it right now and then make spaghetti and then have an Indian side dish. So we're going to have a 4-course Indian meal. And I've been preparing and setting up my spices and doing my prep work ahead of time. It actually is going to take me about a half hour to put it together. I'm not going to make you watch me for a half hour. But the kitchen's a mess. I'm a mess. I don't have a hat on. I've got an awful t-shirt on. And we're just going to have to deal with it. Oh, and it's raining. You might hear the rain in the background. So we're going to start the dish. Now what I've done in advance is I have prepared lentils and kidney beans. Those are cooked and ready to do, ready to be spiced. I've also prepared white rice. That white rice is cooked and ready to be spiced. So it's, you know, those two things are out of the way. Now dish number 3 is going to be a coconut curry chicken that I'm going to make. And dish number 4 is my friend Kumar's moringa recipe. So let us get started right now. I'm going to put the first ingredient out, which of course is putting alcohol in the chef. I'm going to get that ingredient out right now so I have it handy, and I'm going to get ready to start cooking. Alright, let's get the first 2 easy ones out of the way. We're going to make something called moong dal Kima. It's simply lentils and kidney beans in a nice seasoning. So what I've done is I've got my pan on high. And for this, I've got about 3/4 of a cup of water, and I have my my beans, my lentils, and my kidney beans. And here we go. I got a good look at those. I got about 1.25 cups of those here. Now we're not going to add those just yet. We're going to set them off to one side. We're letting the water come to a boil. We're going to let that water come to a boil, and it calls for about a teaspoon of grated ginger. Now what I've done is I don't like to grate ginger, so I've got finely chopped ginger here. That's as finely chopped as we like it. And I'm going to put that in while we wait on that water to boil, because it's just going, all it is it's going to be a part of the flavoring. None of this is getting fried. This is all a cooked or a simmered side dish, so it can be made while you're working on other stuff, or it can be made and set off to one side, like we're going to do right here with this. The spices are a mixture of turmeric. Everyone should have that. Turmeric is a superfood like moringa, so it's a mixture of turmeric, cumin, a little bit of curry leaf. Again, curry leaf is something you should have. And it seems like I'm leaving something out. Salt. And we are ready, in that goes. And then right away, I'm going to put in my beans, stir it. Now this is kind of informal because I haven't gotten ready, I didn't set everything up to be a Desert Chef episode or anything like that. So while we wait on that to boil, and we just want to bring it to a little bit of a boil, over here I have my already cooked rice that I had it on a medium flame, and the rice is just ready to go right now. And the rice, this is simply a saffron rice. Now, how do you make saffron rice? Oh my goodness, it's absolutely the most horrible and hardest thing in the world. I've got that heating up a little bit. You can put butter in it, but I'm going to use about a half a teaspoon of Moringa oil. You could use peanut oil. Don't use olive oil. Don't fall in that trap, because olive oil will alter the taste enough that you won't like it. Now, in here, I have some salt, roughly a half a teaspoon of salt, and about 2/3 to 3/4 of a teaspoon of saffron. Now, I suspect that this saffron is that imitation stuff that they sell, because I got a hell of a deal on it for saffron, but it doesn't matter, because like all saffron, a little goes a long way. So we've got the saffron, and we've got the salt, and a tiny bit of Moringa oil. And I've got the flame. I'm going to turn the flame up a little bit. And what am I doing? I'm sitting here mixing it, and all I'm doing is mixing it until the saffron color gets mixed all through this. When the saffron color gets mixed through, you have mixed it enough. It's just that simple to make a saffron rice. It is a saffron rice with sticky rice. Because my Indian friends will note that that is a sticky rice. I don't have any basmati rice or any other rice. So I have a bulk sticky rice. Now, this is done. It's warm. And we're going to set it off to one side. Like I said, completely finished, done. Now back over here to the dal. I shouldn't have added so much water. A half a cup, even a third of a cup would have been better on the dal. So I'm going to let that cook just a little bit. It won't hurt anything to cook the lentils just a touch longer. So that's two. You know, all I'm going to do with this is turn it off, set it off to one side just like I did with the rice. So that's our two of our 4 dishes today. Done. We're just going to let that cook for a bit. Now, we're going to work on dish number 3. That's the more complicated one, and I have to do a little prep that I forgot to do, so I'm going to turn you off, and I'll turn you back on in a second when that prep's ready. Oops, caught me seasoning the chef. Okay, the piece of prep I forgot was to prep my chicken. Now, I'm using here a little, probably 2/3 of a cup of cut up chicken. Now, when you're doing recipes like this in Indian cooking and in Japanese cooking, they will almost always tell you to use boneless chicken thighs, and that's because thighs are far more flavorful. I happen to have that I wanted to use an old package of chicken breast tenderloins. So this is chicken breast tenderloin. Now, if you don't know what the tenderloin is, if you fillet the chicken breast, there's that little strip of meat that's always loose on the inside. That's the tenderloin, and I separate that out when I slaughter our chickens, and then we have separate meals of that. Usually I pound them real thin and pan fry them in panko. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use them in this recipe, the coconut curry chicken. And we are actually making our own curry sauce today, and when you see how easy it is, you'll be amazed. Alternatively, I have a curry mix, a Japanese curry mix, and it comes in a big block. Looks a little bit like baker's chocolate, but it's a much bigger block. And you break off a piece of that block, just add it to water. Perfect curry seasoning. So that's an alternative. But I happen to have here all the ingredients to make a curry sauce. So number 1, we're going to stay with the Moringa oil. Now, this quart of Moringa oil cost me $32. So you don't want... You want to scrimp on Moringa oil, is what I'm stuttering to say. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of Moringa oil to the pan. Now that pan is already very, very hot, so listen. You can hear my seasoning, my sizzling right away when I put the onion in. We're going to cook that onion. That one piece didn't get chopped. There, now it's chopped. There, we'll chop it some more. I love to use a wooden spoon. I don't know why, I just love a wooden spoon, and I absolutely would rather cook with cast iron cookware than anything else. And I'll tell you, I'm an old man, and it's heavy. It's hard for me to use. Debbie bitches about cleaning it, but you cannot beat cooking with cast iron. So we're going to go ahead and let this simmer. I'm going to do a cut here. Now the onion's simmering pretty good. This is a meal that's going to be cooking on the stove for 25 minutes, so the onion doesn't have to be cooked all the way through. Personally, I've never liked crunchy texture to onions. That always put me off, and I'd never eat onions. Then when I discovered if I cooked them all the way through or caramelized them, they were good and I enjoyed them. So I'm making sure that they're a bit soft. They're actually beginning just a touch to caramelize. Now, if you're doing a curry like we're doing today, and it's a brown curry, it's actually a whitish curry because it's coconut. But when you're doing a curry, it's okay to have a little bit of brownness. But there are some things you do not want your onions to be brown, because that brown color, that's a dye. That comes right out. So we're done there. We're going to go ahead now and add my chicken to this. Fairly simple. So far, it's not rocket science. I mean, hell, if you can make Hamburger Helper, you can do this. Because this isn't Hamburger Helper. This is Chicken Helper, and it's very tasty, and we will show you how to make it correctly. Sorry, Kumar. Kumar, by the way, I say he's one of my good friends. He would be my very best friend if I could just see him more often, but, you know, it's halfway across the world to Malaysia. Kumar is a little over 6 feet tall. He's 230, 240 pounds. Now, he's lost weight. Same age as me, 63 years old. But the striking thing about Kumar, he's from South India, and he is jet black. He's an Indian man. But he's jet black, and the Southern Indians have a little bit different features than Northern Indians. Jet black with this beautiful white beard. I tell you what, he looks just like Uncle Remus. If you've ever read the Brer Rabbit books, he looks like Uncle Remus. That was the first time I saw him. I thought, my God, that man looks like Uncle Remus. And it turns out, as always, he's one of the... there's nothing wrong with Uncle Remus, by the way, but he turns out he is one of the most intelligent, nicest, sweetest people you'd ever want to meet. And boy, is he scary if somebody's stalking you. They ain't going to stalk you along with that man with you. Oh, you heard all that sizzling in the background. Now, this is my chicken that we slaughtered ourselves. That means there's no 20% broth added. So there's no moisture cooking out of it. So we have no water in this whatsoever right at the moment. Now we're going to go over here. And I've got my other ingredients to add. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to add more water. I turned on the lights behind me too. I don't know if they're that noticeable or not. I added about a cup of water. The recipe calls for a cup of water. I added about a cup. And so far, again, I hate to keep coming back to this, but the whole idea is, in the Desert Chef, I want to show people how to reconnect with food and reconnect with cooking and reconnect with being alive, because, I mean, driving your ass off to a soccer match while you're working on your smart-ass phone, that is not living. This is living. But this particular living, so far, we could be making Hamburger Helper, couldn't we? All right, let's take it to the next level. Now, I have a mix, a spice mix here. This also called for turmeric, it called for cumin, it called for curry leaf, all of which I put in my mortar and pestle and ground down quite small. I know I'm leaving something off. Coriander, did I say? If I didn't say it, it has coriander in it. Now, it also calls for a small tomato, cubed, which I peeled and cubed, and you can very clearly see the coconut on top. That is not the extent of the coconut flavor. That is just some coconut for crunch and for appearance. And I don't know if I said turmeric. Turmeric again. We're going to take these, dump them right in here. A little bit of that moisture, get out the turmeric. If you've ever cooked or used turmeric or saffron, it will color everything yellow. Now, because we're making a curry, this is going to come out brown until I add the coconut milk. All right, now that's in. Let me check my ingredients one more time. Oh, I forgot something. More ginger. I'm putting another teaspoon of ginger in there. I like ginger that's a little heavier than the recipe calls for, but I like ginger. I also know how to cook Indian style, and I know that I'm not altering the flavor of the dish that much. Now, what's left to add is going to finish this up. And that is going to be simply coconut milk. We're not ready for coconut milk yet. I'm walking around with this in my hand because I've actually forgotten which recipe it goes in. This is lemon juice and lemon zest, and I can't really show you the lemon zest. I put the lemon zest in for extra flavor. It goes in one of these three, and I'm going to go look it up and figure out what it is, and I'm going to come back to you in 25 minutes because that's how long this has to simmer on the stove before we finish it out. So for you it'll be 3 or 4 seconds. For me it will be the rest of that beer, which is all the beer I can have today, and a half hour. See you then. Now we are up to the part that I'm sure that many people are waiting for. That's where we get into the moringa, because the rest of this you're going, oh, I don't know if I'll like it. Yeah, you will. But moringa, moringa, this is what they look like when you take them off the tree. Now what do you do with them? You don't just go like a cow, do you? Well, you could. But you just take the moringa, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. You see this? You see the moringa has these different bracts here off of the branch. I'm going to take a hold of this bract right here, and I'm going to strip the leaves off. Now let me do that again. There was some lightning just now, so you're going to hear thunder in a moment. Right in there. And we're going to go right down here very gently. Like so. There's the thunder. That means the storm is, what, about 3.5 miles away? So we're going to strip these leaves off. I don't think I'll make you watch me do them, so we'll cut this at some point. But just so you know, you just strip. Now I'm holding it very gently. Debbie actually bought a stripper. And boy, did I enjoy her. No, a stripping tool. Never mind, a stripping tool. But she noticed that this was so easy that was kind of a waste of money. But I'll tell you what, for $1.50, we'll use it somewhere. Now, Kumar, we are making so many of these because I wanted to really give your recipe a try. Plus, I really wanted to eat the moringa in a big meal. So we'll come back as soon as I'm done with this. Now, sorry I'm so close, but I had to get close to show you. That's how much moringa I have, and that is about 3 cups, maybe 3.5 cups of moringa leaves. Now, I'm going to tell you about the moringa leaves. I think I said this in one of my earlier videos. When you take a fresh moringa leaf like this and you eat it, I'm not going to eat it, but I like them. The flavor, the taste that hits your mouth when they're raw like this, with no salad dressing or anything on them, it's kind of a cross between eating clover. We've all as kids, grabbed a piece of clover. So, taste, it's kind of a cross between clover and radish, a kind of hot radish. Not super hot, but that little bit of spice that a radish has in clover. That's raw. The minute that you wilt this or cook it for a minute, literally 1 minute, that flavor completely changes and turns around, and it becomes almost an inert green. So it takes on the flavor of whatever spices or whatever you're putting in it. So we're going to take this, it's going to transform into an inert green, and it's going to take on the flavors that Kumar told me to add to it. So I'm going to reset the camera, and then we're going to go ahead and make this, and then my coconut curry chicken is going to be ready. I'll plate it all up and give you an idea, let you see what it looks like from behind the camera, and let's move on. Okay, so we're ready to start on Kumar's moringa meal. So we're going to the wok right now. Now, you can use a fry pan. I just didn't feel like with 3 cups of moringa to wilt down, I wanted the depth of the wok. The wok is on a high heat. It's not on my wok burner. I do have the wok burners that put out 120,000 BTUs of heat. I didn't need the fire of the dragon for this meal. So we're going to take, and what you do if you know wok cooking, you already know this. You get your pan super hot. Generally, you're going to throw your your meat or your vegetables in, and then you're going to put the oil in. So here we have, this is a mixture of dried hot chilies. These are Asian chilies, and when I say Asian, that means Chinese, and some mustard seed. Now we're going to put that right in there. And I'm going to watch it for a minute. We're going to listen. I don't know if you'll hear it. By the way, it's brown mustard seed, but you could use black. You could use brown. Yellow. What we're waiting for is the mustard seed to start popping like popcorn, and that's exactly what it's doing. Now I'm going to put in here, based on what based on the moringa seeds, I'm putting in close to 3 tablespoons, of moringa oil. Hear the sizzling. This isn't a particularly hot burner, so kind of giving it a minute. You probably saw that mustard seed pop on out of here. Just going to toast it for a minute. Now, Kumar didn't say this, but I assume that's what he meant. But he knows that he knows that I know about Indian cooking. Now, what I've got in here, this is very simple. Again, turmeric, because he said turmeric, onion, a little bit of ginger. I said turmeric, it's pronounced turmeric. A little bit of curry leaf. Kumar, forgive me for adding it. And I believe a touch of cumin. Nope, touch of coriander. Now that's it. Just that little bit there, which amounted to about including the onion, about 1/3 of a cup of spice. Notice I am stirring it right now. And it's very similar if you've made a roux or a base for a white sauce or bechamel. There, that was the word I was searching for, bechamel sauce. Now I'm going to be careful here. I'm going to let the onion cook some, along with my spices. And Kumar is probably going to tell me I shouldn't have put the turmeric in. I pretty much knew that, but to tell you the truth, I was running out of stuff. There was a tiny bit of ginger in here. I don't know if I said ginger. No garlic. Now look, if you've been watching, everything I've done here has been pretty much, seriously, and I'm not joking here, pretty much like doing Hamburger Helper. Now, we're going to be ready to add some water to this. I don't know that we need it. Let's just see. Here goes. 3 cups of moringa leaf. Looks like a hell of a lot, doesn't it? But don't worry, it's going to cook down. It's going to wilt. Let's get about 2 tablespoons of water. You watch it cook for me. Now the reason for the water, and Kumar, I'll tell you this too, because I know you're watching. The reason for the water is I don't want to cook the spices. In other words, I don't want to burn the spices. There we go. Now also, when you've got, and people that cook a lot of greens will know this, when you put a little water to it, the moisture in the water helps to wilt the leaves. Oh boy, that's a good thunder. Just like when you're cooking collards, which I like raw collards. I'll put a raw collard in a salad. I like raw collards. And by the way, if you raise chickens, chickens love collards. I would rather have collards than comfrey because comfrey's an invasive and collards are not. But anyway, very much like if you were cooking collards, you put this much in and you end up with about what I've got here in the moringa. Now we're going to cook this moringa. You don't really want to cook it up to a temperature, I think, of over 140 for very long. However, this recipe I can see calls for it. We want this to cook down. We're going to lose some of the nutritional value by getting the temperature high, but it's cooking in Moringa oil. Everything else is in Moringa oil. There's turmeric in it, so we've kind of covered for it. Let me just show you. Oh boy, that's hot. Hold on. My handy dandy, as seen on TV, of glove. They work, by the way. There you go. Give you a look at it. But we're not done yet. But wait, there's more. Now with this, not only do you want to wilt it and cook them, because you want that crunchy texture that the raw has. You want to get rid of that. You want to get more to a cooked spinach texture. But not only that, you also want to stir it as I'm doing and incorporate all the flavor in it. Now that bit of water I put in, it was closer to 3 tablespoons. If I were to squeeze it right now, I don't believe I'd get more than a teaspoon of water out. I'm going to leave that right like that. Ow! You'd think I'd learn. But if you've watched any of my videos, you know I never do. Well, I'm going to tell you what, folks. That's it. That's the way it looks. And we're going to call that Moringa. We'll have to figure out what Allah, as in, you know, snails a la Pierre. I'm going to figure out what Allah means in Hindi. And then we'll call this Moringa Allah in Hindi Kumar. And that'll be the recipe. If it tastes like crap, that'll be a different story. I won't blame Kumar. Let's cover this up. The little heat still is going to stay in there. And let's move on and finish out the curry, the coconut curry chicken. Well, guys, we don't have much time. I know I'm out of the camera now, but it's time to finish this up. And this is really simple to finish up. Now, I tasted it a few minutes ago, and it tasted like a weak curry, which is fine because what I've done is I've cooked it down more. You know what? Let me flip this so I can see. There we are. There we go. I've cooked this down. So what we have here is we have chicken curry. Essentially, we have a chicken curry, and we had a couple of different spices. I'm going to crank that up. I'm putting it actually on high heat. Now, this is coconut milk. You know, living in Texas like we do, a lot of Mexican cooking is done with coconut milk. So this is I get this right out of the Mexican section. But if you have an ethnic section in your supermarket, you can get coconut milk there. I've taken not quite a half. And that's the best way to put it. Not quite half of this out because this is a small portion. This is a 4-course meal of small portions. And I'm just simply taking the coconut milk and adding it to my chicken. Now there you go. Right there, that is making the coconut chicken curry. Now I'm leaving it on high. I'm going to stir it. And my color has gone from a nice deep brown, and if you're familiar with Hindu cooking, Indian cooking, shouldn't say Hindu, Indian cooking, that was a beautiful color. Now it's lightened up. Now you can tell it is either a light curry, a Japanese style curry, or you've got coconut milk in there, and in this case there's coconut milk. Now let's just see if I can get a little bit to taste. It's just Debbie and I, so I can taste straight off my cooking spoon. Does not need a thing. It is good. It's very good. What I'd like to do is bring it back to a boil and thicken it just a little. Because what I wanted to do, the way I want to serve it is to show you guys, is I want to serve this separate of the rice. Now if you were serving this over the rice, your consistency is absolutely perfect right now. So I'm going to cook it for a couple minutes. I'm going to go ahead and plate everything up, and I'll show you from behind the camera and sign off from behind the camera. Finish it up. Well guys, this is not a fine eating restaurant, but here is the meal. This is our saffron rice in the center. This is Moringa a la Kumar. This is the dal, and this is the coconut curry chicken in these two. And Debbie and I are going to eat it. I'll come back and tell you what it tastes like, just so that you can eat your hearts out, or you can laugh at me because I made a lousy meal, and finish this out. Well, guys, it's still raining. In fact, it's dripping right on me where I'm standing here. But we ate our dinner. Now, Kumar's recipe needs a little bit of tweaking. I think I didn't quite do it right. It needs a little bit of tweaking. And the dal, the beans and lentils combined, they do not need that lemon. Even though it called for lemon, it would have tasted better without lemon. I'm getting dripped on. So I thought I'd tell you that. Now, the coconut curry chicken was delicious, and the saffron rice was really good. It does need to be made if you want to make a saffron rice. That was a real simple recipe. You always have to have a little oil in there, or butter, to bind it with. Butter is what usually is recommended. And you'll want to use a basmati rice. You won't want to use your normal cheap sticky rice. You'll want to use a more expensive kind of rice. Other than that, the meal was quite good. I love that coconut chicken curry, and I can give anybody that wants it the recipe. Just ask in the comments and I'll get to you with the recipe. I might even just go ahead and try to post it. So until next time, guys, it's Robert Earl, your desert chef, your dummy on Facebook, your liberal on Facebook, and the guy out here at the Eco Ranch in Far West Texas saying, see you guys later.